place, Halifax Regionals. We got JT here. What deck did you play?
I played Ishizu Tier Limits.
Cool. Any shout-outs before we begin?
Yeah, shout out to my wife and kids for supporting me enough to come to Halifax for the day and play in this. Shout outs to Team ECG, the boys. 2 of us topped.
Three.
Oh yeah, 3. I meant 2 other ones. Right. Yeah.
All right. Let's get into the deck profile.
All right. 3 Heralds. Some people cut down on this. I think you need this for being able to negate like Dweller, Flu matchup, and D-shifters, and it kind of ends up as a starter with the Millers. So I think it's too important to not play. One Agito just because it's the worst one to draw, but you still want to be able to have another name to mill, especially when playing Diviner. 3 Kelbeck, 3 Medora, 3 Keldo, nothing much to say there. 2 Murley, 3 Havnus, 3 Sheeran, 2 Rhinoheart. So not gonna lie, I didn't have much time between Pasadena and this, so I copied Hani and played 2 just because I played 2 Diviner, so I didn't want more than 6 normal summon monsters. But I did find throughout this that I was a little light on tier mills, so if I were to play this deck again in the future, I would be playing a 3rd Murley for sure. And I made like a Bestial package because I expected mirrors, and it worked, and I think this is just the best ratio. Even milling this is like not terrible because like if you're getting to a point where they're gonna dark you anyway, just having this in the graveyard might not be that big of a risk, but you can also get rid of it. Like you could shuffle it back with the shufflers, you could banish it with your own Bestials. So I think it's fine to play 3 because you want the extra resource, and I played Beatrice too, so that's why this is super important. Double Diviner. This card's obviously really great to mill, but it can be a starter too, but you just don't want it to clog up your hand. Very important for Baron access and being able to... Oh, there's Joshua Lee Kirby. Very important for Baron access and being able to revive this off Elf and basically search one of the shufflers. So 31 monsters, 3 planets, that's in the side, terraforming, instant, 1 scream, just because it's really good, but you don't want multiples because it can break. And then 1 crime main and 2 Sullian. And I just found this to be a stronger ratio, just because being able to hit this and grab a monster while still being able to search one, it's really strong. So the deck list itself is important, but you got to be able to realize some of the plays you can do too. Like if you have Pearl Rhino up and you're doing some fusion summoning on your turn, one of the reasons that I played double Celiac was because you could summon Kaleido Heart, you could Pearl Rhino pop your own Kaleido Heart, Kaleido Heart's effect goes off, revives itself, you dump Scream, and you search Celiac. So you have a way with the tier monsters to get to a monster, or you could search Crime too, I guess. But this is one of the main ways that like you protect your Dweller in the mirror. So I never got to actually pull this off today, but you got to be able to know that you can do stuff like that. And that's what gives you such a huge edge in the mirror, like playing the shufflers well and using them appropriately, like only triggering 1 tier at a time, or like trying to trigger Rhino Heart first, like things like that just give you small edges in the mirror. So for extra deck, 1 of each. Dragos Capelias, because I found that Plunder is a hard matchup. Mud Dragon and Garura, nothing surprising there. Elf, Sprin, and Dark, just because these are the best to link 2s to play. Zeus to have some removal. Then a bunch of rank 4s, Beatrice, and Baron. So these are all pretty standard. Beatrice, Cherries is a really popular side card, and if you're playing this, especially where I'm playing Bestials, if you get Cherries when you're trying to fuse for a guy, you can make Garura, and then overlay for Beatrice, and this kind of gives you like a fake kit because you can dump another tier name off of this. So it's good to be able to recover and just like being able to access like your entire deck, whatever you might need. Like this can dump Scream to get a trap, this can dump one of the Millers to extend further, this can dump one of the Shufflers, so it's very strong. Redoer is kind of like Sprint, but for level 4s. Because like if you're just trying to play with a Sheeran and you end up running out of gas, you can just overlay for this and still be able to use your Sheeran. So like when you're milling your names, obviously it's hand dependent, but most of the time, like assuming I have nothing really going on, I'm gonna go Havness first, then Sheeran because you can use it off this otherwise, and then the last one's Murley because you can basically search it because of Sprint. So using your names in the right order is important too. If I were to play this again, I would put an out for Avermax in the extra deck because I feel like I didn't respect Sprite enough in my list, and that was my one loss. So yeah, I'd change that up for next time. Side deck, 1 Heartbeat and 1 Duster. A little light on the spell trap removal, but this is searchable. So. 3 Gamma, 1 Driver for pretty much everything going second, but also siding against Flandres and other D-Shifter decks. Call by the Grave for D-Shifter decks. Droplet. This is for Dweller decks, because it's like one of the few things that can beat like the Baron Dweller setup because you can pitch a monster for this. Yeah, it's kind of weak against other. Like sometimes this deck has a hard time against decks that flood the board, and this obviously matches up very poorly against that. So some sort of hard removal might have been a little better, because if they get to Baron Dweller, you're probably already pretty far behind, but it can come up sometimes when you discard like one of the millers. Scattershot, just for sometimes you need an extra 500 to get to 8k. Yeah, level 2 extender. Tactics, because this card is very crazy in the mirror. Since they're playing on your turn anyway, if you take, like, you let them fuse into whatever they want and then you take it, so it's broken. It's good against other decks too, like, or you can look at their hand, and if you have perfect information, it's much easier to play your cards, because you can often end with a couple of interruptions, and just being able to know exactly what you have to counter is huge. And then I saw the last Druis one for the mirror.
Sweet. Well, congrats on third. Yeah. Do the liking, subscribing, and stuff.